Today on the show, is Liam Neeson's career over? The one and only Shelley Wade and I discuss. Plus, your fridge wants to help you get dates.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So I am joined on the show again today by the one and only Shelley Wade. How you doing?
Hi, AD. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. I thought we would just jump right into it today because, well, we wanted to chat about it yesterday, didn't have the time, and it's something that it's important we give the appropriate amount of time. But Liam Neeson made a rather disturbing confession.
Yeah.
What was it, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, in case somehow you managed to miss it, Liam Neeson made the disturbing confession that he once walked the streets hoping to kill a random black guy. Now, ever since he became a massive late-in-life action star, Liam Neeson's career has been on fire, but he might have just snuffed this one out. For those that don't know, in an interview to hype his new revenge flick, Cold Pursuit, Neeson admitted that he once went out walking the streets hoping to, and it's one of those things that sounds so weird coming out of your mouth when you say it that you just have to...
Well, can I give some context?
Yeah, go for it.
He said that one of his friends, he had been out of town or whatever, he gets back to town, and one of his close female friends was... I think raped by a man. And then so Liam started asking questions about this man, and he's like, asked what his race was. And so she said it was a black man. And so he was filled with such rage, Liam was, that he just would go out to different random black neighborhoods hoping that some black person, some black man would do something to him so he could, attack the guy.
Yeah.
So that's the context.
Yeah, he brought it up completely unprompted. A female friend of his had been raped, and he asked her what color the assailant was. She said black, and he said, quote, "I went up and down areas with a club," although he called it a kosh, which is sort of like, I think it's, I don't know exactly what it is, but some sort of weapon, hoping to be approached by somebody. I'm ashamed to say that. And he said, "I did it for maybe a week, hoping someone would come out of a pub and have a go at me about something so that I could kill him. The impulse eventually wore off, and he admits how horrible it is when he thinks about it. But what do you make of this?"
Well, the reason he brought it up, the movie that he's in now, I can't remember, is the movie called Revenge? I can't remember.
Pursuit.
Cold Pursuit is about revenge.
Yeah.
And so I think the interviewer asked him how he prepared for the movie and like how actors, what's my motivation or whatever. And he was thinking back to an experience where he really wanted to seek revenge. Problem that people have, of course, the African American community and other people who just really aren't racist. The problem they have is that, okay, he wasn't going out all those times he went out, a week? I don't know how many times he went out, but it was over the course of a week, a few times. He wasn't searching for the man who raped her. He was just searching for any black man to harm.
Yeah.
So that's the problem that people have. And you want to bunch every black man up with, just because you want revenge because she was raped by a black man. But all black men are not rapists. So you can't just go out and try to harm a black man just because your friend was raped by a black man. Very sad your friend was raped by a black man. That's very sad and tragic. No one wants that to happen. But you can't seek revenge by finding someone of the same race. That just is not right.
It's a really tough one because Liam obviously knows what he did was wrong, but he didn't address the racial aspect of it, which is really, really troubling just when you hear him say it. And
he tried to go on Good Morning America a few days after that.
Do you think this is a career ender for him?
I have to tell you, when I first heard about this story, I was really busy. And so I kind of heard like a snippet. It was kind of like, Liam Neeson said that he was going out to, find a black bastard. And I was like, oh, I don't know what this is about, because I didn't hear the whole story. I didn't have context when I first heard about it. And as a person that's been a Liam Neeson fan, I can watch Taken over and over and over. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I didn't really know what the context was. I'm like, I want to step back and see what this is about before I pass judgment. And then when I saw him on Good Morning America earlier this week, and he went on attempting to explain himself, he just dug
himself a deeper hole.
And it was just really terrible. I was like, so to answer your question, I won't be able to watch Taken the same way, because he says he's not racist.
Well, look, I mean, here, let me just address this. Like, what he said, I can't even bring myself to repeat it.
Okay.
You're black.
I'm an African American, yes.
And you said it, and it, like, to me, it's just like the way the words he used were just really, really ugly. Like.
Yeah. But that's the problem that, so many, black people face on a consistent basis over the years since before I was born. One person makes, some sort of horrible mistake or does something, and then someone groups everybody in our race together and just, make sweeping generalizations or racial profiles you, and so, that's the issue right there. I was, when I was watching his interview on GMA with Robin Roberts, I was really, and I wondered, I was watching him seeing if he felt like it was awkward being interviewed by an African American woman, about this particular subject. He seemed quite comfortable though. And he didn't back down. To his credit, he sat there and tried to answer the questions. However, he made it worse for himself, because there wasn't a good explanation. So I guess, is it a career ender as far as I'm concerned? I won't be. I'll go back to him saying he's not a racist person, but he couldn't. And one of the things he did say on GMA is that he hoped that this would be a teachable moment, a way to start a conversation, a conversation starter, like we're having the conversation about it right now, right? I'm all for having conversations. I'm one of those kind of people. I'm African American. I'm very proud of my heritage and my ethnicity. I also am a person that I love everyone. I accept everyone, and I'm not a prejudiced person. I'm not a discriminatory person. I don't discriminate against people, and I don't make assumptions about people because of their race. Why? Because I would, when someone meets me, I would like for them to judge me by the kind of person I am, by my character. I don't want you to have a preconceived notion of who I am when you don't know me. So I try to give everyone else that same courtesy. So I don't like anyone, making a sweeping negative generalization of me because I'm African American, because they have certain prejudices.
Quite right. More with Shelley Wade when we get back.
Real radio. 104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, one thing that I thought was unbelievably unfortunate about the Liam Neeson situation was the ham-fisted way he went about it. Like, it didn't seem like he was planning what he said at all. He just sort of blurted it out, spur of the moment, and he's sort of, I don't know if backpedaling is the right expression, but he's sort of backpedaling a bit, saying, I hope this winds up being a teachable moment. And, when I break it down, what he said and what I think he was trying to say, I feel like had he gone about it in a bit more of an intelligent way, it could have genuinely been a teachable moment. Now everyone's sort of obsessed, being like, oh, he walked around trying to murder a black guy. That's not cool. And clearly that is not cool. But I think one of the interesting things about it, and one of the interesting things about prejudice in general, or one of the interesting things about people that I don't agree with, is a lot of people will run from it.
Yeah.
When someone finds out you're prejudiced, or when you're differently politically aligned than you are, when people are different, a lot of folks will back away. I always kind of try and lean in, because at the very least I want to understand how someone got the way they are, whether they're a fan of a different sports team than I am. You know, if someone's from New York and they're a Yankees fan, I'm like, what are you, from the Bronx? That must be, or you're from Manhattan, or if someone's from Long Island and they're not a Mets fan, they're a Yankees fan instead, I'm like, how on earth does this happen? Same deal with pretty much every other issue. If I can have a dialogue about something and understand how someone got there, I think it's a very valuable thing. Now, I think what Liam Neeson was kind of sort of doing, or trying to do, which could have wound up being valuable, is saying, hey, this is how unreasonable prejudices happen. I am fully aware that what I said was wrong, how I felt was wrong. It was stupid. It was awful. It was short-sighted. It was the worst side of me. It was the worst side of humanity. But it happened, and let my experience be a lesson for people. But the way he just blurted it out was,
and again, I don't know enough. I haven't listened to that entire interview. So I don't know enough about whether race had anything to do about the beginning of that conversation. From what I understand, to my understanding, it was about revenge. I don't know that it had anything to do with race, but what was in his head was that was why he wanted revenge. And that's why he brought it up, is my assumption.
Well, he was saying it's pointless.
And I don't think he brought it up to have a race conversation, but since he did bring it up and people were offended, he said, okay, well, this could be a teachable moment. But then when he started talking about it, like you said, he didn't say it in a way that seemed very sympathetic, or I don't know, he just couldn't say it in a way that made people feel better about the situation. That he was actually going out to harm or kill a black man. I agree with you. I think that conversations should be had. The thing about race in our country, and there's racism everywhere, all over the world, but because I live here, I'm talking about the United States of America. Race in our country is it's just such a divisive topic. It's so painful for, especially African American people. And I'm speaking as an African American person. There are other, races. There are people who are racist in a lot of ethnicities, but just speaking as an African American, just thinking about, I was watching this show, and I watch it religiously when the season's on, Finding Your Roots. And it just traces people's roots of all ethnicities. And I find that, especially when they are spotlighting and tracing the roots of African Americans, and then they inevitably get back to the slavery and how, we didn't really have names a lot of the times when they listed us on property. It was like male or female or kid. And, like you didn't have an identity. And, that always, and I literally cry. It always makes me cry because it's so sad. I think about, and I haven't properly gone back to discover my roots. My dad passed away a couple of years ago, and I found myself more and more interested. And I've gone to his hometown a couple of times and tried to, ask his relatives questions about it, but I want to go further and further back, But when I think about, I wonder how far back I can go. I can trace my family tree, until I hit that slavery thing, So it's, my point in saying it all is that it's a really painful conversation. And I would have to assume that people who are descendants of slave owners feel very bad about it. A good majority of people who are descendants of slave owners, I would have to assume that they feel very bad about what their ancestors did as far as slavery, and that it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. And the inequality and the racism and everything else over the years that still exists, it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. But the conversation has to be had, because we can never get past it if we don't talk about it and talk about it intimately, So
I was really shocked when I came to America because, my family's from New York, but I grew up in London, and I kind of found London was sort of it was a bit of a melting pot, like there are people from, you're so close to Europe that there's people from all over you can take the train in from France, there's people from different countries, or people from all over the place. And I kind of expected when I moved back to New York City to run into more the same. I was like, if London's a melting pot, then New York must be that times 10. That London must be that on steroids. And I was very disappointed to find out when I got back to New York that it wasn't as successfully integrated as London. And here's the strange thing. I was just like, all right, the Jewish kids hang out with the Jewish kids. The Italian kids hang out with the Italian kids. The Hispanic community, the Puerto Ricans and Dominicans that I knew in New York City kind of hated each other. And people sort of didn't, like I said, as successfully integrate themselves. Now, my best friend growing up in England, his family was from the West Indies. And I was just like, dude, Greg, things are a little different out here. I was kind of surprised. You and I hung out, and it has never been an issue. We've been best friends forever and ever. And the issue of our race being different never once came up, unless you were making fun of me for being extremely white. It never even came up. And he's like, well, you have to understand, it's a whole different vibe in England. My family came over from the West Indies because they wanted to. There wasn't, we didn't grow up with a history of slavery in the country.
Yeah.
We're all here of our own free will. We speak the Queen's English. We're ultimately very English. And he's like, besides, in England, there is racism. It does exist, but it's a little more subtle, only because the big battle in England is between the upper and the lower class. Yeah, he was just like, you white people are too busy fighting with each other to give us much hassle. And I was
going to give you a little pushback and ask you about that. If it's such a melting pot over in the UK, then why is Meghan Markle receiving all kinds of negative, messages from people because she's interracial, she's mixed race. So, there's that thing. There's never been an African American, as far as we know, in the royal family, and some people don't like that. So, and I wonder
have you seen Prince Charles's ears? I think they've done enough of breeding with their own kind there. They could use a little diversity in the bloodline before you've seen his ears.
I've seen his ears for sure.
Flappy is the word I would use to describe them. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. Racism does exist, but my friend described it this way. He was like, we don't carry with us the hurt that came from slavery in England. And he was like, there's no getting around that.
By the way, and sorry to step over you, step on your toes, but a lot of people are in the West Indies because their people were brought over, from Africa as well for slavery. So it's not that they're, they don't have that experience, but you're somewhere, I guess, like Jamaica or something or Haiti, and you have, the majority of the people who live there are of African descent. So their experience may be a little different from ours. You know what I'm saying? But
very, very much so. We'll be right back.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
But yeah, it's interesting because oftentimes I'll hear the excuse from some people saying, hey, slavery happened a long time ago. Get over it. And when I look back through my family tree, I get a little boost from the fact that, my family came from this and did that. And my last name's Roundtree. My family invented the Kit Kat bar. Had literally nothing to do with me. But years and years ago, some very, very old relatives of mine decided, hey, chocolate should be for the masses. We're going to start the first candy company that makes chocolate accessible to everybody. And you know what? I get a little kick out of that. I think that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of nifty.
Yeah,
had nothing to do with
the chocoholic that I am. I thank your family.
Ah, yes, you're welcome. You're welcome for that. But if I can get a little kick in my step because of that, how on earth can you say someone doesn't deserve to feel hurt or troubled by what happened to people in their family hundreds of years ago?
For people who have that argument, get over it. That would, listen, it's easy for you to say that if your ancestors weren't enslaved. It's very easy for you to say that. It's very easy. Lucky you that you don't have that to be a burden for you. But just so you know, I don't walk around every day, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying everyone.
Right, yeah.
I don't walk around every day, woe is me, slavery was in my my lineage, and it's something that you're very aware of, definitely, for sure. And you can get over it once everything is equal, and everything is not equal for everyone. So you can get over it then, I guess. But the fact remains that just my parents, I'm from Texas. My parents had to ride in the back of the bus. This wasn't like generations ago.
This was not that long ago.
My parents did not have equal rights. My mother got arrested when she was 14 because she was on a bus and she would not give up her seat for a grown white man. So they arrested her and she was a kid. That was my mother.
Yeah.
This wasn't generations ago.
This was one generation back.
This wasn't generations ago.
Yeah.
Right? My father, grew up in a town, and I just visited my dad's hometown just in December. He grew up in a little town. Their population isn't even 2,000 right now. Imagine what it was when he was growing up there. My dad was 70 when he passed away a couple of years ago. So imagine when he was a kid growing up there. It's deep in East Texas. You hear the families, they still talk about everything, separate everything race wise. Oh, those are the white people's property. Oh, those are black people's property. They don't go, oh, those are the Wades or those are the this. They refer to each other, even now in 2019, by what race they are.
No kidding.
So when people want to go, oh, get over it, you go to different places like that and you experience that. And so my parents did not have equal rights. My parents had to go to blacks only fountains and bathrooms and schools and ride in the back of the bus. My parents didn't have equal rights. So let's, slow your roll when you talk about get over things, because we are still very much and I as I said earlier, I don't walk around, woe is me, my ancestors were enslaved, but it was a very sad fact. It is a very sad fact in our country, and it saddens me to think about it. And I am thankful every day of my life that I can lead the life of freedom that I lead. I can get up in the morning and not have to worry about whether I'm going to not have the right to go to a certain bathroom, or whether I can, like, if I get on a bus, do I have to sit in a certain place? Or, those are just the, small, I don't want to say they're small struggles, but, the thing of not being able to support your family properly because you don't have certain rights. And, and so all of that, I look at my parents and all they went through and all that they sacrificed so that my siblings and I can lead the kind of lives we live now. I am the most free. My siblings and I are the most free of anybody in our lineage, because we never, the Civil Rights Act was passed before I was born. I was never, and that doesn't mean that everything became equal after that. It was just that it was written down. It was in the books. It was law. But then you have to come from that and just try to start, making advances, Things are so much better now than they were when slavery existed, than they were even when my grandparents and parents were coming of age. Things are so much better now, but things still need to improve. You can't come from all of what we came from and then go, okay, it's over, get over it. that's easy to say when it's not your experience.
So I was very fortunate. I was raised by two parents who just, it wasn't, they didn't even drill it into my head that prejudice wasn't okay. Mm-hmm. They just lived by example. No one is any less than anyone else because of where they're from or because of their sexuality or because of anything. And it wasn't even like they had to tell me this stuff. It was just, I was extraordinarily shocked and I was extraordinarily disappointed when I encountered racism for the first time in my adult life, which was not until I never, I knew it existed, obviously. I just never seen it face to face. I'd never seen it in action until I went to America and I was hanging out with some kids, that said some things that made me go, you are not my kind of people. I will not be hanging out with you. And it really kind of knocked me back that this existed in the world. I was like, geez, at the time, I was like, it's 1994. How is this still a thing? This is insane. I've never met this in person before. And it was shocking to me. And I think it's in some ways shocking to some people that have maybe grown up the way I have, where you go, what racism? I'm not racist. To hear that your parents, just one generation back, your mom got arrested for the seat she chose to sit in,
sitting down
on a bus.
And a grown man, he should have been ashamed of himself for wanting a child to get up for him. That's when I think about that, I'm like, what grown man wants a child, is offended because a child won't get up out of her seat for him? What grown man does that? But listen. I think about people like Dr. King and all that they did. It's just, I know Dr. King has the holiday and everything, but there were so many people just like him who fought for, better lives for us all. And I wake up every day, again, it's never lost on me how blessed I am, and I try to live my best life because of that, because so many people were not able to, they weren't allowed to under law. And so I try to remember that. But I'm also a very loving person, and I love all people,
You more than almost anyone I've ever met have an ability to get along with everyone. I'm not bringing race, culture, any of it into it, but like to know Shelley Wade is to love Shelley Wade. Yeah.
Thank you. But I just am very, I try to be compassionate towards people. It's just in my every fiber of my being. And I just want people to give me the same kind of benefit of the doubt that I give other people. And I'm very much, I always say I'm very Rhythm Nation, and people who are younger than me and didn't grow up in the Janet Jackson era. I
know the song. I've never.
Janet, one of the lyrics in Rhythm Nation is people of the world unite, strength in numbers, we can get it right. We are a part of the Rhythm Nation. I'm a huge Janet Jackson fan.
Evidently so.
And
wow, I never really gave Janet Jackson credit for being so profound.
But Janet's always been that kind of way. So is, my heroes have always been that kind of way. Dr. King, Prince, Janet Jackson. I grew up singing just like you did. And so a lot of my heroes are entertainers. Not saying that Dr. King was, but, when I mentioned Prince and Janet, and so Prince and Janet they both always preached love one another, love one another, love one another. And I think that's one of the reasons I was so attracted to them, because that's the kind of person I am. I just am one of those kind of people. I just try to love people. And it's really hurtful when you think that there's still a lot of hate out there. And someone had a great saying, and I can't think of it right now. If you grew up where I grew up, or if you had the same experiences I had, then you would know why I am the way I am. That's not the correct saying. Google it.
Abraham Lincoln had a whole thing like, don't hold it against the South. We would be them too if we grew up in the South.
So you have to kind of like put yourself in other people's shoes. Where did they grow up? Who raised them? Why do they feel this way? Why did they come up in this environment? You can say that someone becomes, they come of age, they become adults. Yes, they should be able to make the right decisions. But if someone is only known one way to be or to think or to love or not love their entire lives, they're the product of their environment or their upbringing.
You're a wise woman, Shelley Wade.
Love one another, everybody. Love one another.
Love one another. And if someone's a little different than you, get to know them. It'll
Yeah.
help.
Now, more AD on the radio.
You and I will get into the events of today in our segment, My Witness News, in just a little bit after we address the fact that, it's right around the corner. What's today? Today's the 6th. That means the 14th is in just 8 days. You have a week and a day to make some freaking magic happen during Valentine's Day. I gotta be honest, like, whenever I've been fortunate enough to be in a relationship, come February 14th, it stresses me the hell out. And I'll tell you why it stresses me the hell out. Because you just got done using up all your grand gestures right around the holidays. Yeah, holiday time rolls around, and from Thanksgiving up until Christmas and New Year's, you're trying to make it special for your significant other, whether it's going out of your way to accommodate their family, or perhaps getting just the right holiday gift, or celebrating New Year in a way that seems meaningful with the person that you love. And by the time January 1st rolls around, and by the time Valentine's Day looms on the horizon, the well is dry and you need some time to build up. One of these days, one of these years, I'll get smart and I'll figure out that you got to make all your plans around the holidays and then hold a couple things back for Valentine's Day. I haven't gotten there yet, but Valentine's stresses me the hell out. Not in the same way that it stresses out Doug Millard, only because his ex tried to kill him.
Valentine's Day. Anybody? Anybody love Valentine's Day? Who here hates Valentine's Day? Yes! Yes! These are my people! Woo! Yes! I hate that. If Cupid were here, I'd rip off his wings and punch him in the diaper. Let's go. Yeah. Let me tell you why I hate Valentine's Day. Because a few years ago, on Valentine's night, I thought I would have a nice romantic evening in with a lady. But little did I know that that same night, her ex-boyfriend thought he would try to win her heart back. And being the sweet, romantic guy that he is, he thought the best way to do this would be to get all coked up and then jump through a window and try to murder me. Don't woo that. I know you fellas are thinking, like, why didn't I think of it? I know. There's always next year. Because you know what? It works. They're still together. It's great. Don't feel sorry for me, though, because, I got a cash settlement out of the deal. And I'll tell you this right now. Getting stabbed actually pays better than comedy. So,
what are you really doing when you're dating? What are you doing when you're going out on dates? What are you doing when you are trying to impress someone on Valentine's Day? What are you doing when you're spending time on Twitter or Bumble or eHarmony or whatever the hell online dating app you're using in an attempt to meet someone that will let you see, perhaps even touch a boob? You're looking for somebody that is willing to put up with your crap for the long run. And you know what? You're looking for someone whose crap you can tolerate for the rest of your time on this earth. You're looking for someone that you are vaguely compatible with, as Larry Miller points out.
I was watching TV with my wife, and the ad came on for that eHarmony, the dating service where they say they match you up on 29 levels of compatibility. And I turned to her and said, I don't think we have any. And she said, any what? And I said, the 29 levels of compatibility. And she said, yes, we do. I said, no, we don't. And she said, we have all of them. And I got out the dictionary to look up. I looked up compatibility. It says, capable of living together harmoniously or getting along well together. And she said, oh my God, we don't have that. I said, that's the point. That's good. Marriage has nothing to do with compatibility. Okay? First time you can't make a house payment, it doesn't matter that you both like red.
All right, time now to take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. Here's yet another reason why it's rough being a single woman. Single men stink. Smell really, really bad, and not metaphorically. They literally smell terrible. But here's the thing. Apparently single men smell bad, but women are into it. Yeah, evolution has trained you into thinking that a single guy smelling horrible is a good thing. New study out of Australia found that single men naturally smell worse than men who are in relationships. And it's not because they don't have their hygiene act together. I mean, they probably do have worse hygiene, but that's not the reason. It's because single men produce more testosterone, which leads to nastier body odor. Yeah, you're single, you're producing more testosterone, you're not settled down, you're not nesting, you are out on the prowl, and apparently that leads to you smelling pretty freaking rank. But it's not holding women or men back from dating. The women in the study smelled a bunch of single men's shirts and married men's shirts, and even though the married men's shirts smelled better, the women were more attracted to the single guys. Yeah, the stinkiness of the single man is apparently on a primordial level attractive to a woman. I don't know. I've never had a female walk up to me and be like, "You're rank. Want to get naked?" It's never been a thing. Maybe if I didn't bathe so fastidiously, I would have been more lucky in the past. The researchers say this shows women have evolved in a way to sniff out single men. Yes, apparently, ladies, you sniff out single men. So they're not wasting time on someone who's unavailable.
According to a research study, single men tend to have stronger body odor than men in relationships. Right? Researchers believe this is because single men have higher levels of testosterone. Now, only a group of scientists would be like, this is fascinating. We're not sure why, but the smelly guys seem to be the ones who don't have girlfriends. This is true.
If you're single and having problems sniffing out a suitable mate, well, here's the thing. The new fridge from Samsung can help with that. Yes, it's called Refridgerdating. I guess it's really important to be food compatible with someone that you date, since I'd say that eating is like 77% of all relationships. But this is next level stuff. Samsung just launched a new app for their smart refrigerators, and it's called Refridgerdating. It's a Tinder-style app for your fridge, but instead of swiping on pictures of potential dates, you swipe on pictures of what's in their fridge. Ugh. Do you actually see inside their fridge, or just a picture of the item? Only because I gotta tell you, if we're basing my dating life on my fridge, there have been numerous times in the past where the state in which I keep my refrigerator would not necessarily be the best representation of me. But there you go. A Samsung PR rep said that they made the app because, quote, "we hope people can meet under more honest or transparent circumstances with the help of the contents of the fridge, because that can tell you a lot about a personality." If you want to participate, the app is free, and you don't have to own one of Samsung's $4,000 smart fridges to join. You can just use the app in your phone's browser at refridgerdating.com. You'll just need to upload a picture of the inside of your fridge. Ooh, so they do actually see the inside of your refrigerator. Like I said, that would not be a good look for me.
Welcome to Refridgerdating, an app from Samsung that works with the Family Hub refrigerator to take a picture of the inside of your fridge and match you with your forever dinner date. They say you are what you eat, so what do the contents of your fridge say about you? Maybe you're health conscious, or aren't home much, or is that an open can of cat food? It's free and available through your web browser, so it'll work with any phone.
Yeah, I don't think that would work out really well for me. Unless, of course, ladies, the idea of several-day-old Chinese food that I'm considering rolling the dice on tonight excites your loins, in which case, I am so in. Have yourself an awesome one. Be back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again.